Global Times Voice. U.S. long-arm jurisdiction on tech exports strangles EU multinationals. This is based on an article from Global Times, a Chinese propaganda newspaper. Published September 1, 2022, as part of her 100-year plan to rule the globe, China has been trapping smaller nations in debt and intimidating all of its neighbors into obedience, along with widespread intellectual property theft and espionage. According to Reuters, the U.S. Commerce Department said on Wednesday that it had banned for 180 days the export privileges of a Belgian business and its owner over an alleged effort to transfer sensitive technology to China. According to Reuters, the U.S. Commerce Department said that HASA Invest and Hans de Geer acquired or tried to buy accelerometers from a U.S. company on behalf of customers in China while misrepresenting to the U.S. company that the clients were in Europe. At the time of publication on Thursday, neither the Belgian business nor its owner had made any public remarks on the U.S. claims. Furthermore, it is unknown whether the U.S. Commerce Department provided pertinent information on the purported effort to deliver accelerometers to China by the Belgian business. It is important to keep this in mind. Meanwhile, that long-arm jurisdiction has primarily become as American as apple pie. By now, everyone should be aware that the U.S. expanded restrictions on high-tech exports would harm Chinese companies and American, European, and other global corporations. According to Chinese propaganda, they attempt to cover up Chinese propaganda by posing as other parties who may not be aware of it. Since former U.S. President Donald Trump assumed office in 2017, the U.S. has started implementing several steps to stop China from conducting technological espionage. And under the administration of current U.S. President Joe Biden, this malicious campaign has persisted and may become much more virulent. The U.S. export control process is currently at the center of a debate within the U.S. over how much the U.S. should continue to trade with China in the high-tech sector. Many U.S. politicians support limiting exports of sensitive technology because they believe the U.S. should prioritize national security over U.S. commercial interests. These anti-China lawmakers may not be aware that what they advocate might seriously harm the profits of U.S. high-tech firms and impede China's technological advancement. Today's industrial structure is based on a complex supply chain network. This was used as a global bribe to end the Cold War. While China is the biggest manufacturing country and plays a significant part in the global supply chain, it also functions as the final assembler for many European and multinational firms that import high-tech goods. The U.S. does have substantial advantages in high-end technical disciplines. Politicians in the U.S. must impose an export embargo on Chinese firms if they are to succeed in limiting high-tech product shipments to China. Because of this, more European businesses are required to support the U.S.'s sensible high-tech export limits on an aggressive country like China. Globalization, the U.S. bribe for the Cold War against the Soviet Union, would go backward due to the U.S. strategy. China is today's equivalent of the Soviet Union. In addition to U.S.-China bilateral trade, the subsequent crackdown would probably include trilateral or multilateral supply chains, including the U.S., Europe, and China, to impose stricter limitations intended to isolate China. The consequences of these limitations will be intolerable for China. The export market in China for U.S. high-tech companies will contract much further due to the more stringent regulations. The procedure will take place gradually and in stages. Increased limitations on U.S. tech exports to China would be disastrous for the U.S. since other tech behemoths like the UK, Germany, Japan, South Korea, and others will fill the hole left by U.S. enterprises. More significantly, China places a high value on independent invention, and independent high-tech product sales have been rising in Chinese marketplaces. Export markets are necessary for U.S. high-tech enterprises to withstand the world's increasingly intense competition. The less chance U.S. high-tech businesses have of surviving in the face of international competition, the more limitations the U.S. government puts on technology sales via long-arm jurisdiction. The international community is now condemning Chinese misbehavior and treating people all around the globe like slaves.